avenues for all of it. Like, what's the best one? Just even just for ourselves. So yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's kind of where I'll start to break it down. I think that people don't necessarily know all of the options that are out there to receive therapy. There's definitely a lot of different therapeutic styles. So it's really important, if you can find the access, to take the time to find a therapist who you really click with, because what they say in social work and therapy is the most important part of therapy, the way that you get the most benefit is through that therapeutic alliance, through the relationship that you build with this therapist. And if you're not clicking,
it doesn't work then. So they got to be like your best friend at that point. You can like talk to them about literally everything.
Yeah.
Just literally pour your heart out too. So
and there's go ahead.
No, sorry, I was wanting to piggyback on what you said about like finding a therapist. You know, a lot of people don't actually know how to get help.
Yeah.
You know, so what would you recommend people do? I guess to find a therapist. I guess that's in their network if you have insurance. You know, not everybody has insurance.
Yeah.
You know, finding that therapist in your network and finding the right therapist for you. What would you recommend people do to do that?
Absolutely. So Mark actually sent me that really cool
with the
video.
Samanaj.
Yeah, talking about how even if you go through your insurance company, sometimes they send outdated lists, and sometimes you're calling hundreds of numbers trying to get in touch with someone. My best advice would be psychologytoday.com.
Yeah,
it is a platform where therapists of kind of all disciplines can go make a profile. You can filter it by insurance, you can filter it by location, you can filter it by different specialties. And I would probably say that that is the most accurate way, because it is pretty well maintained and kept up to date. In terms of insurance, though, not all of us are fortunate enough to have insurance. Not all of us are fortunate to have insurance with good mental health coverage.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly. Yeah, even when I reached out to a couple of them before, like I found one right off the bat that was really great, and then I really loved like just having a conversation on the phone with them. But then like my insurance wasn't covering it. Without insurance, it's like $300, and like that's each appointment. And I'm like, I don't even think I could do that every single month, and all, or even less, more than that. Like
That's like a bill. That's multiple bills.
yeah.
It's like utilities. Right?
Yeah, my insurance for my work doesn't cover that, so it's like it makes it that much harder to even really like just figure out what's going on with my head. What am I really going through? Am I okay, or am I doing this right, kind of thing? So
Right.
you can talk to your friends and family about it, but like they only know so much. It helps to have like a professional to really help you like
Absolutely
figure out what's going on and how can you best tackle it. So
yeah. So what I will say to that is, just because you have insurance that has some mental health coverage doesn't necessarily mean going through insurance is going to be your best bet. There are a lot of different situations. People with super high deductible insurance, it's not always going to be so beneficial to bill through there, because then you still have pretty high copays. So sometimes what therapists will do is they will provide sliding scale based off of, you know, your income level, percentage of what is feasible for you. So for those of you without insurance, or for those of you with insurance that's not so great, I would suggest really looking for someone who does provide that option. It can make it a little bit more accessible. Now it's still going to be up there.
I heard somewhere that because of the virus, they're actually waiving some insurance fees for mental health reasons.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we've actually been really lucky with that, especially like, so the way that it works with insurance is things get kind of complicated. And with COVID, they had to rewrite a lot of different treatment definitions.
Right.
And that's how they determine what services will be covered. So we've been really lucky. I personally work at a day program. So obviously with all of the restrictions, can't really go do that in person. Day program automatically means that's a higher level of care. These people cannot really function on the day-to-day without that support.
So I remember you told me before, you do like Zoom calls, like you're like literally on the computer with them like every single day, like what 8 to 5, like literally on the clock, just calling all your clients.
So it's group therapy for most of the day, 9 to 2 group therapy, 2 to 5 individual sessions, pretty much back to back to back. But insurance has really stepped up. One of my actually my CEO had to kind of go to bat to get one of the insurance companies to rewrite their definition to be a little bit more inclusive. But we've been pretty lucky with the lenience that a lot of insurance companies are doing with virtual therapy specifically. That being said, I hope that it lasts.
Yeah, because I mean, how long, we don't even know how long this is going to last, especially with how things are like escalating more and more. I think I remember seeing like before, even online social media, they're like advertising that like there is hotline you can call just in case you really don't even have
Yeah.
one, right? So
Yeah.
yeah.
A lot of the information that's
Mhm.
going out there, especially with the whole police brutality thing
Yeah.
that's going on, a lot of my people, black people,
Mhm.
are feeling, I guess, feeling their feelings,
Anxiety,
and
like
it's affecting us. So
Mhm.
a lot of the information that I've seen, a lot of it is about donations and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I think it's also important to push
Mhm.
information that talks about how you can self-care, how you can get help if you're feeling stressed or you're feeling anxiety or you're feeling depression about this whole thing,
Mhm.
because it is important
Yeah.
that, even though the times that we're living in are not ideal, there are still ways that you can get help for yourself.
I mean, when is it ever going to be ideal? Hopefully, we are working towards that. Like, I
Absolutely.
bet, like, there's literally the protests happening. Like, literally, it's still going on right now.
It's going on right
Yeah,
now.
I bet your anxiety is literally through the roof.
Yeah.
Because like you want to make sure that you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, one of the important things that I
Mhm.
especially like want everyone to know and remember is that something like this, it's trauma
Right.
for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Something called generational trauma.
Absolutely.
This oppression, it's been passed down. You experience these things too. Marches, protests, all of the police brutality
Mm-hmm.
is kind of a reminder of that trauma, and it adds to it. This
Yeah.
is something that's called little T trauma. So there's big T trauma, which
Yeah.
is like the things that you would think of when you think of PTSD.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Little T
Yeah.
trauma is much more,
Like it's like added to it, like just like little things around you.
yeah,
Like,
it's
Absolutely.
yeah.
you can't really define it. It's just something
Mhm.
that you experience and it
Yeah.
impacts you, and it
It's
kind of
indirect,
builds on each
almost,
other.
yeah.
Indirect.
Okay, I got you.
Mhm.
That's
So,
a good way to say
I
it.
got you. But then, like as this is going on, it's becoming more and more direct and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you wanted to ask like some questions about like how to like go about that kind of stuff too with everything. So,
Yeah. I mean, with everything that's going on
Yeah.
with police brutality and with COVID-19, people have a sense of getting too much information. I
Mhm.
mean, I know we want to stay connected and stay connected to the movement and be a part of all of that, but sometimes you do need to unplug, especially us,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
us. So
It's important, like literally, it's
Yeah.
on social media every single day. COVID, protest, everything else. There's aliens. There's all those different types of things. And I'm like, 2020 is like the end of the world right now. And
Yeah.
then, like, I like it is important to just kind of take a step back. And I think that even with social media, that probably does take a lot of effect into anxiety, trauma, and all that too. So
Right.
and with all that stuff from social media, it's like all these little T's, but all of a sudden becomes like a huge big T at one point. I'm sure. So
Yeah. I mean, it
Yeah.
builds up.
Mhm.
it's like seeing police
Mhm.
is extremely traumatic.
Yeah.
Like, I remember me and my friends who were on our way to Target.
Oh, yeah.
We were going to Target to get something. I can't remember what it was. It was the day after after the story came out about
Oh, yeah.
George Floyd,
Mhm.
and there were 2 or 3 police cars in the front, and we all sort of got still, and we were like, can we like just go
Yeah,
to another store or something like that?
Mhm.
So it affects. It's not just
Just doing
It-
daily things.
yeah. It's that off the record sense of anxiety that you feel
Mhm.
that and then seeing it on TV, it's just like it adds to that.
I couldn't imagine, honestly. It's just that it's just 10 times worse now
Yeah.
with everything. So
Mhm.
Well, that's absolutely a trauma response. It's called
Yeah.
hypervigilance.
Yeah.
It's when you are on high alert for danger,
Mhm.
and that's very real.
Yeah. You feel that, especially. I've had one experience with that before.
Really?
Yeah. I guess, can I go into story
If you
time?
want,
Is that
so,
cool?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
please.
Yeah.
So-
yeah, you can go. It's like we got plenty of time. We just got started a little bit ago. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mhm.
So I was coming home from work, and I don't know if I told you, but my parents aren't together. I lived with my dad for a while, but now I live still with my mom. So my license says my dad's address, but I was going to my mom's address. And I was coming home from work. I
Yeah.
noticed that there was a cop behind me.
Oh really?
Uh-huh. And I noticed, I was like, oh, he's behind me. He's tailing me. So
Yeah.
maybe he's just like going somewhere else.
Yeah.
So, but I was, getting into the neighborhood, and he was still behind me, and I was like,
Mhm.
why is he behind me? So I was like, okay, I'll get home. I pulled into the driveway, and he like parks directly behind me, like to
Really?
where like he's like blocking me in.
Really? Yeah.
And so I don't know what's going on. I'm confused. So
Yeah.
out
No
of
sirens, no like
yeah,
nothing. You're just there. Yeah.
I kind of acted like I was stepping out of the car. Like I
Mhm.
opened the door, and the blue lights came on
Really?
immediately.
Oh, That's
And
terrible. Yeah.
he came up to the car. He asked for license and registration,
Yeah.
of course, and I showed it to him, and he looked at the address, and he was like, "This is not. This is. Are you sure you live here?"
Like, this is my mom's house.
yeah, like
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
I live here. What do you mean? He was like, "Are you sure?" He
You
goes
had
back to the
explain
car,
everything. So
and another cop pulls up, and so my heart is racing at this point.
yeah,
I'm like, okay,
that's too much right there.
this
Yeah.
was like right after Philando Castile back in 2016.
2016. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
Um,
How old are you then?
I was 18.
18.
No,
Really?
19, like 19, I think.
Okay.
I believe I was
Yeah.
19 at the
Mhm.
time. So, they, yeah, they're talking, and they both walk back to the door, and they're like,
Mhm.
"Sir, are you sure that you live here? Because this address does not match." And blah blah blah. He was like, "Yes, this is my mother's house. Like that's my dad's address on it, but this is my mom's house."
Mhm.
My mom comes out, and she's
Yeah.
like, "What's going on?"
Yeah.
And they're like, um, you know, "I just want to make sure that he lives here. Does he live here?" She's like, "Yes, that's my son."
Mhm.
And so they're like, "Oh, well, we got him for a
They had
tag. Like
really?
my
Yeah.
the tag on my license plate
Yeah.
was out, and they're like, just make sure you get it changed." And they left.
Well,
And so
and that's too much. Just like literally, if they're following you home, and you call another one for backup. You know, like literally,
Yeah.
what are you doing? You're at your house. You're you were
Yeah.
just going home and all that. So like,
I was just that shook me,
Mhm.
especially
Yeah, I bet,
considering that
yeah.
it happened
Mhm.
around the same time that
Mhm.
the whole Philando Castile thing.
Mhm.
It shook me, and
I
it
bet,
made me
yeah.
realize that this is real.
Yeah.
I grew up sort of. My parents have good jobs.
Mhm.
They grew up. I grew up in a nice neighborhood, so part of me, a small part of me, was like, I don't think it could happen to me,
Mhm.
but it did,
Yeah.
and it scared me,
It's a hard
and
thing
it made me
that,
realize this is real.
yeah,
Very
sometimes
real.
you never know, but then all of a sudden it just hits you, and like that alone is that's no longer a little T. That's the big T, I think, right there too. Though, honestly,
Yeah.
For
so
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially that just like not being treated the way you are as a human being,
Right.
Like you're being treated like a criminal there or something like that. So,
Right.
yeah, like that's not right. So,
And
but so they let you go though, but they left. And
Yeah.
everything. Okay, that's good. So
yeah,
yeah.
usually when I think
Mhm.
about it, it brings back memories, and I'm like, it could have been me, and the story would have been like had something happened, the story
Mhm.
would have been, he was going to his mom's house, but the address didn't match up, and oh, she's a single mother, so it plays into, I guess, multiple stereotypes of that. So
Mhm.
it, I think of that, and I'm like, I feel like I could have been a story. I could have been
Yeah.
a statistic, a statistic.
And thank
So-
God you're not. You're here right now with us, and
Yeah.
we're seeking help right now. So
Yeah.
we're seeking to make sure that we are able to get past these dramas, and
Yeah.
hopefully, with everything going on, that we're able to be
Yeah.
improving not just ourselves, but everything around us too. So
Absolutely.
I'm so sorry that happened to you.
it's tough.
I
So,
appreciate.
Mhm.
I always appreciate support,
of
especially
course, yeah.
from people who
Yeah.
understand, or not understand, but like
Mhm.
are willing to sympathize and
Yeah, empathize. and
know
all
that
yeah.
I'm seen and that I'm heard. So
Mhm. Yeah, and
appreciate
that's
you
important. I
guys'
think that's
support.
with all that and
Mhm.
anxiety, it's like not having that voice and not being able to just put yourself out there the way you want to.
Mhm.
And like the times now, it's like it's almost feels like you're disrespected because
Yeah.
of that. So yeah,
Yeah.
and
So
Mhm.
so yeah.
yeah, but,
But,
you're good now though. So,
Yeah, I'm good now. Trying to
Yeah, and it's
You
brave
go
of
back.
you to even go out
Yeah.
there in the protest now because I saw it. What was it, ABC who interviewed you?
WBTV,
WBTV interviewed.
CBS, the CBS News, the local news here in
Yeah.
Charlotte. Yeah,
Mhm.
they interviewed me because we went out to the protest on Tuesday,
Mhm.
and I took. It was actually my little sister.
Oh, yeah?
My little sister came to me and was like, I see this that the NAACP is holding a protest uptown, and I want to go. I want to support. And I was like, you know what? We're gonna go.
Yeah.
Because I want you to be able to see this, and I want us to be able to fight this together.
Yeah.
So we went together, and that was a really good experience. My other
Mhm.
brother, he came with us.
Mhm.
So plus 3 of my best friends.
And you
So,
have that support group right there.
Yeah.
And I think that's the biggest thing is just making sure you have that support group. You're not alone in whatever you're going
Absolutely.
through and everything like that. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
Speaking of
Mhm.
support groups,
yes.
I guess during these times, you know, um, if you can't go to therapy, what other forms of, I guess, care can you give yourself to um, cope with these traumatic situations, whether it be police
Mhm.
brutality or COVID or anything
Yeah.
really? How do you, I guess, support that?
Yeah. So I actually did some research for you guys
Okay,
on
yeah.
this one.
There you go,
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
But things like support groups
Mhm.
are a very inexpensive way to process and express and explore your feelings with
Mhm.
people who have had similar experiences.
Mhm.
They actually don't even need to be run by a therapist. Like anybody can
You
facilitate a
can really
group.
just start one. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the reason why it is so powerful to work in groups like
Mhm.
that is because these experiences, just because of the nature of all of them, can be so isolating. And so
Traumatic and just,
yeah,
everything.
yeah. And, you know, the instinct when you're experiencing trauma can sometimes be to hide and pull back. And that's not helpful because you
Mhm.
guys have mentioned feeling your feelings is
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
like the only way that we can process and make sure that these things don't have really
Mhm.
huge consequences
Mhm.
for
Mhm.
us. So support groups, anyone can make one.
Okay, that's good.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Essentially, you know,
Mhm.
you just need a space,
Mhm.
you need a person who's willing to facilitate, and you
Okay.
need a group of people who are willing to attend
Yeah.
consistently.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Legal Saving Nut, not now just with the Go Nuts podcast, we just wanted to create a support group, not just for like just like the cancer survivors, but like people for mental health, just
For
making sure that
everything.
they're okay. Yeah, we want to
Yeah.
make sure that like this is you're not just your nuts are safe. Your home. This is your home. This is a safe space for you guys to literally talk about what you're going through.
Yeah.
But then the issue is like support groups are for guys mainly, or even that. It's like it's very far and small in between. Like most support groups that I've shadowed, like just to see like how they do it, it's mainly female. No, so yeah,
I
like, a lot of
buy
times,
it 100%.
or even like,
Mhm.
or like if you're an alcoholic or addict, but like just not like ones that are going through like more trauma. Like
Yeah.
at least from what I've seen, just
Yeah.
kind of scraping the surface. I want to dig deeper.
There's
Like,
all types
Yeah.
of PTSD out
Yeah,
there. There's
yeah.
all types of things that people need to recover from, whether
Mhm.
it be, you know, trauma like what I've been through,
Yeah.
or like you said, alcoholism,
or cancer and
drug
all that
use,
stuff too.
all
So
that.
yeah.
So I think it's all important.
Yeah.
Everything's important.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I think one of the reasons
Mhm.
why you see primarily females in these groups is,
they're good at talking about their feelings.
Yeah.
well, why do you think that is though, right? Because what were you guys taught as kids?
To be strong.
Yeah,
This goes back to
Yeah.
Yeah.
toxic
Matt-
masculinity and all that we were talking
Absolutely.
about.
We had a
before.
podcast about that too before
Yeah.
about toxic masculinity, how we're supposed to be like okay
Yeah.
with everything.
Always.
My
That's-
dad would tell me before, he's like, Mark, just pray and go to sleep. Just pray and go to sleep. I'm like, okay, fine, Dad. But what if I'm really going through something, Dad?
Yeah.
Just go to sleep. You need some sleep. Simon
That's
Minaj was making a joke
personally-
about that too. So, yeah.
My parents,
Mhm.
personally, they taught me don't go to bed
Mhm.
upset about anything because you won't be able to sleep.
Mhm.
But I think that's why I love the Saving Nut podcast or Saving Nut in general,
Yeah.
because it is an avenue for young people to express themselves
Just safe
and
space right here. So,
yeah,
Yes.
and to let their feelings out.
Yeah.
So I love that initiative.
And that's what we're doing.
Mhm.
We're pouring it out right now. We're going nuts on our emotions right now. And thank you
Absolutely.
for listening to us right here.
Oh
So,
no, I
Rachel,
live.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean, first of all, it's my job, so
Yeah.
I literally do this for a living. But second,
Mhm.
I love it and I live for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, the term safe space, it's appropriate in a lot of
Yeah.
situations, but in this one, I almost feel like it's a growth space,
Mhm.
right? Because we're doing things that are really uncomfortable. And yes,
Yeah.
the space is safe, but it is not necessarily comfortable to go against messages that you received as a kid
Mhm.
about the way that you're supposed to be processing your feelings.
Yeah, and it's hard. So it's like trying to figure that out, but like just having the people that really can help you build that community for it it's important. The hardest part is starting, and then the next part is just maintaining, continuing, and all that. So
Yeah,
yeah.
absolutely.
So did you say before it's pretty easy to support, like just create a support group, right?
Yeah, if you're really
Okay.
good at like organizing things, if you got
Mhm.
a specific population
Yeah.
that you know that you want to work with,
Okay.
it shouldn't be too complicated.
Okay. Because that's what we're trying to figure out how we can implement that, and even just like have like people that we can have like on like a hotline to like or something like that they can reach out to talk to, whether
Yeah.
you're a survivor or you're going through mental like something you just need someone to talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Like I want to just make sure we have something like that just that we
Mhm.
can provide to everybody.
Yeah.
Side note, though, support groups don't necessarily replace therapy, but
Yeah.
they can be a nice thing to do in conjunction just because it is important to be able to process with someone who kind of knows what you're processing for.
So it's a good segue into it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. It's
Okay.
it's good for so many reasons,
Mhm.
but doesn't necessarily eliminate the need for
Okay.
other types of therapy.
Okay,
Yeah.
got you. So,
Absolutely.
what else we got here?
So,
So, yeah.
I think I want to talk about the role that the media plays
Yeah.
in a lot of this. I know we talked briefly about how seeing a lot of this stuff on TV can, really mess with you. But and like we said, it's important to, I guess, pull away or
Mhm.
sort of shut things off in order to give yourself some space.
Yes.
What could you tell us about that aspect of it? About how to pull away without actually but still stay connected.
Yeah. So I think this is an issue, obviously, particularly now, but also just every day with social media. It
Yeah.
can be this really great thing that allows us to connect and understand what's going on and see all of these different perspectives. But more often than not, it can really quickly turn into a very toxic place.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I believe that 100%.
It can definitely take away communication almost with the people
Mhm.
around you. So if you're just at home, like sometimes you're doing it just on your
Yeah.
phone, not really communicating with your friends or your family.
Absolutely.
I honestly try to cut my phone or put up my phone on do not disturb after 10 o'clock,
Mhm.
just so I'm not getting any notifications from anybody. I'm just sort of by myself.
Mhm.
Unless it's an emergency or something, then nobody can reach me.
Yeah.
That's good to balance it out like that.
Well,
'Cause,
that's
yeah.
a huge part of mental health and self-care, which
Yeah.
is one of my favorite topics on the planet Earth,
Mhm.
is boundaries are huge and necessary.
Absolutely.
They also happen to be very difficult.
Mhm.
We deal with guilt, we deal with
Mhm.
shame if we're not on 100% of the time. But the fact of the matter is, you cannot effectively advocate for change if you are coming from a place
If you
where,
haven't
where you
dealt
don't
with
have
your
anything to
own
give.
stuff, if you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
not dealt with your own issues, then you can't help anybody else.
One of
I
my
genuinely
favorite
believe that.
Yeah, you remember you mentioned that quote. It's like
Yeah.
you can't pour out with an empty cup or something. What was the quote?
My
Yeah.
favorite quote is, "You can't pour from an empty
Yeah,
cup."
yeah, that one.
And
Yeah.
basically what that means is self-care is not selfish. It is
Mhm.
necessary.
Yeah.
And think about it. If you are a person who wants to go out on the front lines, you can't be doing that every day
Yeah.
and still be sending effective messages. That's going to damage your mental health.
Yeah,
I
And
believe that.
Mhm.
you're going to get kind of sucked into things. So we've got a lot of people advocating.
Mhm.
We've got a lot of people doing this work, and we need everyone to also be taking the time to take care of themselves
Yeah.
and unplug when it starts to feel like it's getting too much.
Mhm.
Because think of those trauma experiences.
Mhm.
Yeah.
When
They whenever I'm out there, it brings it up,
Absolutely.
Every time I see it on the news, it brings back those
Yeah.
memories.
Yeah, it's
And
like
it makes
literally
me
like
think of,
PTSD at that point. So
like I said, I took my siblings out there because when I see it, I think of them.
Yeah.
I think of all.
yeah,
like,
you think about your
all-
future.
Yeah, think of all that.
Mhm.
So that's why you go out there,
Mhm.
because you don't want it to happen to anybody else.
Mhm.
But when you're in a situation like mine, where you kind of experienced a little bit of that, it's traumatizing. It can be traumatizing to go out there.
But it's
Like-
really brave of you to even want to go out there in the first place too. Though I love that. So
I don't know if you guys have seen the Netflix mini series When They See Us.
Mhm.
One of the
haven't seen that one. No.
it's about the four black men who were arrested in Central Park Five
Oh yeah.
that went to prison wrongfully.
Mhm.
They were sentenced to, I think the longest sentence was like 15 years
Really?
in
Yeah.
prison over, I guess, sexually assaulting a woman. They were proven innocent later on,
But they still serve time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they still serve time. One of them spent at least like 3 or 4 years and probably longer. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it might be longer in solitary confinement.
That's crazy.
So, but they got out, and the
Mhm.
one who was in solitary confinement was out protesting, has been out
Oh, really?
protesting.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
So imagine, I can only imagine what he's feeling when he's out there.
Mhm.
Like if I feel a way when I'm out there, I can only imagine how he feels when he's out there. And so I commend him for that. I thought his name is Corey Wise.
Corey Wise. Okay.
Yeah,
That's incredible right there. So,
Yeah.
That
he
really
does.
is.
Yeah.
That's amazing to me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a man who's been through some stuff, but he's still willing to go out there and then keep fighting and all that. So
Mhm.
yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah. But like even like just maintaining yourself too, like that alone I'm sure is incredibly hard. So like how can like like what do you think are like good like ways to just keep on with that self-care, just even because even with being out there, like it's
Yeah.
really exhausting, and even just being just a even regular person, just like kind of like just as you're going about your regular day things without worry about that stuff, it's like hard because you want to make sure everyone's happy, and you want to make sure everyone's doing the right thing, or you're doing the right thing. It's like like, how do you think? What are some good like tips right off the bat, like that you like just do? They just kind of step away from social media. Like, what do you think is like?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, so
some good-
first and
yeah.
foremost,
Yeah.
what I want to kind of say
Mhm.
is one of the reasons that it's so important for people like me to be out there and advocating is so that people who have experience, people who have this trauma that comes up for them every time that they do feel safe to take a break.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I mean,
important.
it's our responsibility
Yeah.
to, you know, keep that up so that you
Yeah.
guys are not doing further damage to your mental health.
Yeah,
And
I believe that.
yeah,
Mhm.
in terms of self-care, I think one of the most important things that we can do is be really careful with the experience that we are curating online because
hmm
very quickly and very easily the accounts that we follow
Mhm.
become our majority view of the world.
Yeah.
And I'm coming from an eating disorder lens, so social media is huge with the clients that I work
Mhm.
with because
Mhm.
it is a breeding ground for comparison. And another big quote in therapy is comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
Essentially, when you are a person who is following all of these thin, white, beautiful women online,
Yeah.
you start to believe that that's the majority.
Yeah.
And guess what? It's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
No. no.
Absolutely.
It's just
And
what you're seeing on your with
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
rose-colored lens and
Very
all that.
small
So.
lens
Mhm.
of something that's much bigger.
Mhm.
yeah, and it's our brain's nature to kind of generalize that to make sense of the world that we're in.
Mhm.
And so, general rule of thumb is just be really careful and really aware of the way that the pages that you're following are influencing you.
That's true, honestly, because like I mean, everyone's on Instagram and like just literally looking at everything, and like if you're just looking at just like things to like really awe yourself over, it's like it's not healthy. So
Yeah.
From-
hmm
Focusing on one thing
Mhm.
too much is dangerous
Yeah.
because life is not just that.
Mhm.
We still have to take a step back every once in a while, recharge, reflect
Mhm.
on our experiences, and make sure that we're taking care of ourselves so that we can put other positive things out into the world.
Absolutely.
When a person gets burnt out,
You burn out.
they might not be so nice.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, I feel like I've like with everything, I've just experienced burnout in myself, and just trying to go about like even before like Corona and before like all the protests going on, I was already experiencing that burnout. I'm like, I need to like just stop, just like take a step back, take care of myself, and that was like what I was trying to do at the beginning of the year of 2020, and like I was kind of like already getting to that point where all right, I won't go out and do something. I won't go out to the bar, spend all the money. I won't go out and do this, and like now it's quarantine. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess that's helping a little bit. But then like you want to go out and see your friends and talk to everybody.
Yeah.
But because of that, you're still on your phone like every day, like social media,
Yeah.
YouTube,
Yeah.
everything.
I
Just-
genuinely believe that
yeah.
quarantine has sort of taken a toll on society in general.
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of hindered. It's helped in some ways, but at the same time, it's sort of hindered our
Yeah.
ability to be social.
Mhm.
You know.
I definitely feel like it's hindered me a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'm like really happy that we're like just here, we're talking about all our feels, everything.
Yeah.
And like yeah.
I
I'm
honestly,
thankful for this.
I feel like,
Mhm.
for me personally, I feel like it's sort of a chapter shift.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Almost like before COVID was a certain part of life.
Yeah.
After
Yeah.
we're going to be dealing with
So many
the
different things,
effects
yeah.
of it,
Mhm.
socially, economically,
Mhm.
psychologically. So I feel like it's almost like a reset.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
It's almost a mental reset.
And that's what we all needed, honestly, because like
Mhm.
everyone's like literally just go, let's do this, let's do that, let's do that. Sometimes it's important to just take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's always
Take a deep
important to
breath.
take a step back. The unfortunate thing is that during this time, those who are struggling with anxiety, depression,
Yeah.
other mental illnesses are really struggling because
Yeah.
it's not like taking a step back. And I think one of the most
Yeah.
important things to recognize during this time is we're not taking a break. Like this
Yeah.
is not like a
Mhm.
fun, relaxing
Yeah,
time.
it's
Like
not.
there is
Yeah.
genuine,
There's hysteria, there's anxiety,
There's-
there's all types of things.
yeah,
Like,
that just
people-
comes
there's a
along
revel-
with this.
The revolution.
Yeah.
But
We're
there
literally living through a history book right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
there are, I do think, like a lot of positive
Mhm.
things that are coming out of it for some people.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, I've finally had the time and space and genuine need to get the heck out of my house and
Yeah.
you know, I started mountain biking. I've been going to the Whitewater Center, doing some
That's awesome,
kayaking,
so
getting
awesome.
outside, and that's been
Yeah.
I didn't know they were
huge.
open again.
They are open again.
I want to go.
Yeah,
Me and my
honestly,
friends
it's
always said that we
beautiful
were
there.
gonna go.
I haven't been there in so long.
Yeah.
I can imagine it's so great.
I
right
just got my season pass, and I basically live there all
There you
year
go.
round because they're
Oh.
super dog friendly.
now. Yeah. I think
Yo.
the big thing is just being active, just kind of like not sitting at home, and that's what
Mhm.
I've been kind of like really affecting myself is because
Yeah.
I'm just
Mhm.
sitting at home on my phone on YouTube playing video games.
Mhm.
I stayed up to 5 a.m. last night playing video games, so
Dang.
and I felt the repercussions of this last night, so or this
Yeah.
morning. So I'm like,
Yeah,
I should not do that. I should actually just be an active like regular person, just doing things and or even just trying to be a better person at that
Yeah.
point, just to like really see how it can help others in this time of need and all. So
and even just make sure that
Mhm.
you're showing yourself a lot of
Mhm.
compassion during this time because it's not an easy shift by
Yeah.
any
Yeah.
means. Nobody saw this coming.
no,
Yeah.
no one. This big left hook right here. And I'm like, oh God, what is going on right
Yeah.
now?
Right.
Yeah, I remember I was seeing like on Instagram before, like I think it was like in the March. I was at the beach, and then like all of a sudden I see like on social media, there's like the in South End or the ABC store is that like the
Yeah.
the one that's right across from like
Yeah.
the bar Gin Mill and all that. Like
Mhm.
there was like
Yep.
a
I
food
think I
truck
know what you're
exploded.
talking
Like it was like this huge
Yes,
explosion. Like,
I remember seeing
Oh,
that.
I
And I'm
did
like-
hear about that.
Yeah, I
I
remember
was
looking
like,
at
the
like,
apocalypse is here.
yeah, I
I
remember
bet.
looking at my
Stuff
girlfriend. I'm like,
exploding.
it's the end of the world right now. Like, this is not good.
Oh
So
man,
yeah.
if only that were the
Is it?
only thing.
I mean, honestly,
Yeah.
I didn't add to my anxieties when I started watching a bunch of like zombie apocalypse movies before
Oh,
once it started. So,
You can't do that.
yeah, I know it's not healthy. So it's like
Yeah.
like I think the important thing is like making sure you limit and balance your
Mhm.
digestive media,
Yeah.
and then but act on things that are important to you. That can do that and help where you can and all that. So instead of like just
Absolutely.
sitting at home, like
Well,
mhm.
A big
Yeah.
part of self-care is making sure that you are living your values.
Yeah,
Mhm.
live your truths.
Yeah.
That's what I remember. When I started doing one of those videos with the Sanmaj and Charlemagne the God, like
Mhm.
they literally were talking about like one of the things that he would want to say if he was to run as president, he would be like, live your truth, just be who you are, live your values, and don't let anyone like kind of like falter that. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
I believe that 100%.
Yeah.
If
gotta-
you stand, like I've always heard, if you don't stand for something,
You'll fall for anything. Yeah.
Absolutely, I believe that 100%.
My own therapist said that to me the other day.
Oh really? Oh, it's all connecting right here. So
it's all
yes.
connected.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Greg, do you have any comments, questions, or concerns of your self care in life? Yeah.
You know, I kind of resonate with all of this this talk. I'm a man of numbers.
Yeah.
I am. But there is like just the correlation between all the crazy stuff and then after quarantine. Like you can't tell, like, because it's all a product of people,
Yeah.
right? Like this isn't like, Y2K. I'm gonna show my age real quick, but this isn't like a Y2K. Like, okay, there's a massive problem with the computer system and everything's gonna fail unless someone can fix it, right? This is a massive societal problem, and these are problems with people dealing with other people in ways that are pissing people off.
Mhm.
So it's not like this uncontrollable thing. Like if you think about it, it's macro controllable, and it's just really sad that it's 2020 and we're honestly sitting here kind of having these conversations about these types of things. Like you would think it would be a given.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's why I'm kind of at a loss for words for like,
Really? Yeah.
really? Are you serious? Because I don't know, just so many things. Like you see people point out so many things. And then with the advent of like Instagram Live and like everybody has a camera in their pocket. So we're getting a more accurate, if not plentiful view of the world.
Mhm.
You can kind of question the algorithms and, do they show more of this or more of that? But at the end of the day, it's like, well, they wouldn't be able to show you this much of the stuff if it wasn't all over the freaking place.
Mhm.
So
One of the things that has come to my attention lately is, working in eating disorders. It's a lot
Yeah.
about body image. It's a lot
Mhm.
about that. But even as a therapist as a whole, a lot of time that I spend with my clients is spent essentially trying to undo the damage of unrealistic societal expectations.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
And it's hard to talk about because people don't really recognize that all of these idealistic standards that we hold ourselves to don't necessarily fit.
It's almost like literally like you've idealized the image of like what just we're supposed to be and things like that, and like because of that we have this like amount ourselves up to that certain expectation, and then like and we're not. We're all different people and all that. All like literally just who we are, and we have to be the best version of that. Like we shouldn't compete with societal standards. We need to just be ourselves and be
Mhm.
true to that too.
Stand in what you believe in.
So, yeah.
I believe that 100%.
That's hard when sometimes the things that you believe in come from the society that's not really looking out for your best interests.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like they never were. So they never were. They just want our money.
Might be true.
Yeah.
Probably true.
You know, right?
It's broken.
Yeah, the system is broken. And we're trying to figure out how we can fix it, but
Yeah.
you know, maybe let's just go with SpaceX and just go to
Sign me up.
yeah, let's go with Elon Musk to go to Mars real quick.
Yeah.
Maybe that'd be better.
it
Just start
dog
somewhere new.
friendly?
Yeah, hopefully there will be. So yeah, I mean, I think who knows the next chapter of 2020, aliens are coming to visit. So
There we go.
it'll be okay. So
It's ready.
yes. Oh my God, but yeah, I think. Is there any comments or things on Instagram Live, Greg? Or,
Well, let's take a look.
Let's take a look,
I'm
so,
gonna
yeah.
have to take the live feed down,
oh yeah,
take a look at it, but we have a handful of people.
oh yeah.
wow.
We've got,
Oh God.
let's see here, we've got hair raising.
Oh,
Hey, hair raising.
Yeah, oh, nice,
We've got
yeah.
reed
that's my mom.
racing.
That's my mom.
Yeah.
We've got.
Yeah.
Oh,
There you go.
She's
Here.
watching.
Oh, that's Andres, your mom.
Yeah.
She wants to know, are there
Hey.
any
Flip it
free-
towards us. Flip it towards us so they can see us. Oh no, I'm talking about can you switch the camera towards? Yeah.
I don't know, dude.
Oh.
I got a lot of things going on. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, you can switch the camera that way. You can see us. So
Okay.
there you
So
go.
I don't think that's much better. But we've got. She wants to know if there are any free resources for.
My mic is not on. She wants to know if there are any free resources. That's hair raising. That's Andres' mom.
Yeah.
Wants to know if there's any free resources out there for. I think she left it at that. But what? I guess probably this is a good question for Rachel. What kind of free resources do folks have access to with all the stuff going on, mental health and otherwise?
So I don't necessarily have an answer on that one. I'd have to, kind of check on some resources. I know we talk support groups.
Yeah.
And hopefully,
And really, people are sharing a lot of stuff online too. I actually did a whole post on Twitter that it was a thread rather of like just different resources, like for people who want to learn more, who people want to take action, and some self-care stuff as well.
cool.
Hmm. So there's many different resources people can use to learn about it, like books, there's
This
movies
is a point
about
like educate ourselves here.
experiences.
So yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
this is the moment to do so.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and then there's so many places you can donate and petitions you can sign as well.
Yeah.
So it's all about I guess finding some. There's some really big ones, and then there's some smaller ones for organizations that directly don't help the cause, but might help something different from the cause. Like for example, I think I ran into one that was about I want to say it was empowering young. I believe it was the Boys and Girls Club, something of that nature. That where you could donate to a young men or young women's organization, and give them the funds to give them good at like certain activities and stuff like that. So I mean, police brutality, that's the main fight that we're fighting.
Mhm.
But at the same time, it's important to invest in so many different avenues, and
Yeah. And I think
Um,
if anything, making your own support group at that
Mhm.
point, be like, hey, if you need someone to talk to, like we're here for you.
Yeah.
That is just literally just starting it. Yeah.
there's so many
yeah.
avenues that you could go down.
Yeah. And
to
even
find
making
it.
your own avenue at that
Yeah.
point too. So
Google is your friend when it comes to stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I will do my best to find
Yeah.
any free mental health resources to
Yeah.
give back to you guys.
yeah, because that would be really great, especially with everything going on. Like, I mean, with quarantine, and most people are still out of like work and things like that. Like that's what this is also adds up to the fire of like anxiety, mental health, and everything. Because like we're strapped. Some of us are strapped in cash. We got to figure out what we can do to like figure out how to even help, or even how to even like get help ourselves.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what? I can do them one better.
Yeah.
I have a few that like I've seen around that maybe we can put in the comment
Yeah.
section or like the caption of the podcast when we find it.
Yeah.
You wanna?
Just say, let me jump in here. We got a website. I know. Should we add a tab right up to the top, like the hot list,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
Like whatever's hot, if it's COVID, if it's police brutality, whatever's going on, have a hot list of free resources and just different links that
Yeah.
we
And
find.
everything that we talked about for this, like that would be awesome. So.
That would be good. We got a hot list coming for you
Yeah,
guys.
check out the hot list
Check
right
out
here,
the
right
hot
here,
list.
here.
Mark, what's the
COVID is so hot right now.
Oh, no, no, it's not. It's 90 degrees outside. I probably not adding to it. It's like,
Yeah.
what? I remember there's a meme that I remember seeing is like, time traveler. What year is it? Me, 2020. Time traveler. Ah, yes, the first year of quarantine.
First year of quarantine.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Hey, have you gotten to the zombies
I
yet?
don't like,
No,
I
no.
don't like how they said first there.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, my
that was
Jesus
a little bit
Christ, yeah.
concerning.
And then
No,
with the,
first.
yeah. And then with the killer bees.
We had-
what
we
happened
had
to the
to
killer
number
bees?
them
Oh,
for
that was
some
just a
reason.
filler episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that.
We're just going through them real quick, and God, we're only halfway there. So,
Yeah.
God.
oh man, Lord have mercy on our souls.
Yes, yes.
Were there any other
Yeah.
comments?
Yeah.
Let's take a look and see what else we've got over here. We'll
How's your,
definitely
so-
the live streaming station will definitely have to evolve over time.
Yes.
But
Oh, you know,
we've
some of your-
got-
your crisis phone.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
we've got Leah D. She says you guys are great and this is an important topic. I love this a lot.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Leah.
Thank you, Leah.
Thank you,
I
Leah.
love you.
Much
I love you.
Wish you were
We've-
here, woman.
I miss you.
We've got Orlando in there, the Venezuelan beast.
Yes.
Ah.
The beast.
The beastie.
Ex Shockley O City, ex Shockley
Hello.
Shockla City joined. We'll wave at him.
Let's say-
Leah D says inspiring. And what helped you to stop comparing yourself to others? And then we've got Skike Out.
Psych out.
Psych Out. Sorry, I can't read.
Oh yeah, I think that's Sam. Yeah.
That's who?
Sam. Yeah.
Sam?
Yeah.
Hey, Sam, how's it going?
Yeah.
I'm going to flip you guys back around. But
Yes.
I think the question is,
Yes.
how did we get away from comparison?
Yeah. So I think that's a really great question. So do you mind if I get a little psychological?
No, yeah,
Of course.
this is what we're doing here. Yeah.
All right.
Get deep with us. We're trying to go nuts.
Okay. So
Yes.
the reason
Mhm.
why it is so difficult for us to stop doing certain things that are what we call maladaptive coping skills, meaning that
Mhm.
they're really unhelpful
Mhm.
in the long term for our mental health, things like comparison, is essentially because we have taught ourselves that this is very important information.
Mm.
Our brains want to, in theory, this doesn't always happen, our brains want to make life easier for us. So it stores this information. It says, okay, you've used comparison to dictate next behavior. So this must be really important because without the comparison, I don't really know what comes next.
Mm.
Now, this may not always be helpful
Mhm.
because typically what we're using comparison to do is make ourselves feel badly.
Oh, really? So
To
it's
criticize.
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
make, so we're doing it to just, even though we know it feels good, but we know we're gonna feel bad. We do it anyway.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, I get you. I feel like I tend to do
Exactly.
that a lot. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
No,
So-
yeah, I do.
So I assume
Yeah.
that people usually go into these comparisons thinking that good things are going to come out, but when the good things don't come out of those comparisons, that's when the negative thoughts and all that come.
Yes. So the thing is, all of these maladaptive behaviors, they start to serve a purpose in the beginning.
Mhm.
And so what you'll always hear me say is that eating disorder behavior, self-harm, addiction, isolation, like any of
Mhm.
these behaviors, comparison, obviously, all of these things start with the purpose of helping us probably calm our anxieties,
Mhm.
and it does it
Mhm.
in the short term. So comparisons in particular, why are you doing it? Are you doing it so that you change your behavior? Are you doing it so that you change something about your appearance? Are you doing it so that you can come off a certain way to other people?
Okay.
Comparisons initially can help us to navigate certain social situations, to navigate certain life things. But when we turn a little negative
Mhm.
and we do this over and over again, it becomes automatic. And it becomes something that we weaponize against
It almost
ourselves.
becomes like an
Mhm.
addiction at that point too. So
Yeah, in a way. And so it's very difficult to break these habits because we've taught our brain that this is necessary information for me to do the life things that I need to do.
Mhm.
So it says, all right, I got you. Like, I'll make this really easy. I'll streamline this process. However, more often than not,
At that point.
yeah,
So,
and
yeah.
it's not really helpful in the long term.
Right.
So in terms of stopping to compare myself, I've been particularly lucky. I am someone who has recovered from an eating disorder. So
that's amazing that you even
Congrats.
help
Oh,
kids
thank
with
you.
eating
Congrats.
disorder too.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's
It's
awesome.
been
That's
years,
awesome.
so
Yeah.
I've done my time and I've
Mhm.
done my recovery.
Yeah.
But one of the biggest things that's made a difference for me is the people that I surround myself with.
Mhm.
So I am so lucky in this moment to work with a bunch of amazing women who believe in health at every size,
Mhm.
believe in embracing your differences, living
Mhm.
your truth, and they
Mhm.
really preach these messages and live them in a big way. And so I never feel judged by the people that I'm surrounding myself with. And kind of like when we focus on certain things on social media,
Mhm.
we curate our experiences in that way and we create what is normal. And so because now my friends, my family, everyone that I care about and surround myself with, they are not actively like trying to tear other people
Mhm.
down, compare each other, and they're not sitting there saying this is better than that and something's wrong with me. I've been able to kind of free myself of those tendencies. And that being said, it was still very automatic for me at one point.
But you found like a support group and like it
Yeah.
really helps you like improve that.
Yeah, and that
That's
doesn't
what's
mean
up.
that those thoughts don't
Yeah.
still happen.
Mhm.
It's just about the weight that you place on them.
Mhm.
So if you're someone who is trying to prevent yourself from engaging in comparisons or other unhelpful behaviors, you
Mhm.
kind of got to tackle it from the perspective of what's called neural rewiring or cognitive restructuring, which is
Okay.
essentially we break down those thoughts,
Yeah.
we challenge them, we recognize this thought is causing me to feel this way, it's causing me to act this way. Basic cognitive behavioral therapy, very popular method of therapy.
Mhm.
And then we start challenging them.
Mhm.
Doesn't happen immediately.
Yeah, it doesn't. It really is like you have to kind of constantly keep
Yes.
working on it.
No,
like,
you
nudge at it.
absolutely.
Yeah, so,
And that's
mhm.
where people
Yeah.
get really frustrated. And
Mhm.
that's where people who are numbers people get
Mhm.
really frustrated with mental health as a whole because didn't mean to call you out. But
All right, I'm over here. That's what I'm here for.
Math
That's-
tutor.
That's what I'm here for. There's a
Yeah.
link. There's a link
That
to
math
book down
guy.
below. That
Yeah.
math guy,
That math guy
3.14 on
Well, not
Instagram. You
necessarily
can
just
find me there.
numbers people, but people who are trained to think more logically and like this is the end result that I'm working for.
Mhm.
Mental health doesn't happen on that spectrum. It is
That's the hard part. That's, like,
so
really
gray
wrapping your head
area
around.
and people hate that about
Yeah.
it. Did I answer the question?
I will say I'm gonna jump in here and say no, you're 100% right that people like me hate that aspect of mental health because we want to believe, and I have been trained meticulously to believe that there is one optimal solution, right? There could be many optimal solutions that are kind of tied,
Yeah.
or there could be some other solutions that work, but they're suboptimal. And that's, kind of maybe where I'd place like a coping mechanism, right? Maybe somewhere there. But like you said, everything doesn't readily translate. And that's probably the most frustrating part about it. And that's probably why people, I certainly, until very recently in the past year or so too, maybe, were very, very, for lack of a better term, like we dismiss it. Like we just completely dismiss the idea that, like any of this stuff
It's valid.
not necessarily, it's not about like validity, but it's just, like it's the difference between going in for like a heart replacement
Mhm.
and then like witch doctory kind of sort of like if I had to draw a comparison, you know what I mean? I'm not saying that none of it works and that nobody's ever had any kind of breakthrough or like none of the therapy works, but a lot of it just seems like a rain dance.
Doubting.
A lot of it seems like a rain dance until you kind of experience it either yourself
Yeah.
or you have like a close friend
Mhm.
or somebody you love and care about that goes through this kind of thing. And, like repeated exposure oftentimes will help clear it up as well. You're like, like with like a depression, for example, you think like, is this just the laziest person, in the world? And it's like, no, I don't think that's necessarily true. But you know what I mean? Like it takes a person that
Yeah.
that it's not this, it's the other,
Mhm.
right? Like, it's not X, Y, or Z. Like that's depression. You know what I mean? Like it takes knowing, but you have to be able to weed out all those variables yourself
Yeah.
until you kind of believe that, oh, okay, like maybe there's some truth behind this,
Mhm.
this kind of other stuff here.
So a lot of that stuff is self-diagnosable too, right? Some stuff.
I would gear away from self-diagnosis and definitely seek the help
Oh,
of a
yeah.
professional. But
Yeah.
there's
Gotcha.
definitely like red flags that you would
Okay.
notice on your own and say
Yeah.
like, "Hey, something's going on."
Yeah, or if
Yeah.
your friends or family tell you, hey, you really need to probably seek some help or something like
Yeah.
that. Because like even
Yeah.
sometimes we're like because you were saying that the automated thing, like sometimes we're just kind of like always doing something, thinking that it's okay or thinking it's right.
We
But
create
then,
our own
yeah.
normal,
Yeah.
and if that
Mhm.
normal tends to be overwhelmingly negative,
Mhm.
we're probably
Yeah.
gearing towards depression.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
it's not normal, but you don't have anyone in your head
Yeah.
to sit there and tell you, like, hey, you can
Yeah.
think a different way.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, sometimes it's hard
Yeah.
to know close people who have gone through it because this is still something that we don't talk about
Yeah,
Mhm.
I feel like
readily.
not until this year, mental health has been like a thing. Like I feel like back in 2019 when I was
We're
going to
still
college.
pushing, man. We're still
Yeah.
pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like
It's
we were
coming
just
through.
yeah we were just kind of drinking our pains away before. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of times, a lot of my friends were doing-
Maladaptive coping skill.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like I've been like most of my friends like growing up even in high school or college, like they would drink or do something to get rid of like the pain. And all that.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
And the thing
you
is,
can't
guys,
do it like that. I've literally had to like
no.
drag my friend like from like literally pass out on a bench. You know, even like the cops coming because like he's like in literally the EMT everything like that like. And I had to make sure he got home because he was literally constantly doing it every single time, just going out there getting drunk as hell. I'm
Well,
like,
because
you
what
can't do
happens
that,
when you
so,
use
yeah.
behaviors like
Yeah.
that is you reduce your emotional tolerance, which is
Mhm.
basically like your ability to sit with your feelings.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And what I'm here to tell you guys today is your feelings on their own are not dangerous
Yeah,
things. It's the judgments that we
Mhm.
have about having those feelings, which
Yeah.
come from societal
Yeah,
expectations.
it's okay to not be okay,
Right.
but it's okay. But what's important to understand is like go through your feelings, but also realize that you can do something about it. not just sit
Absolutely.
there and
Absolutely.
let
It
take
is
you.
okay to not be okay,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
asking for help
Yeah.
is an awesome option in
Mhm.
times like that.
Yes. Yes. So yeah, thank you. Please help us more. So
Yes.
I'm here,
yes,
whatever
yes.
you need.
Yes. Mother Rachel, help us.
It's
Right.
me. Yes,
Yeah,
this is what I
Therapist Rachel
trained for.
Taroni, everybody.
Yes, seriously. Like I think this was amazing. though. I feel like
This was a good session.
yeah, and
Oh,
I
thanks,
love like
guys.
all the stories and everything that we've been like really like kind of going through and everything that like I commend you for even like going out there like
Thank you.
for protests. Like that's
Thank you.
amazing. That even with all the stuff that you went through too, like that you're
Mhm.
out there and like the fact that you went through a food disorder yourself
Mhm.
and now you're helping kids who are going through that stuff too. Like it's amazing that you're literally turning it all around. And like I love that so much. So yeah, and like even like me like going through testicular cancer and now I wanted to help people who
Look
are
at
going
all of
through it.
us,
Yeah.
lived
Yeah, yeah.
experience.
Exactly. Live your
Yeah.
truths. Live what you've gone through, and then and fight against it. You don't want anyone else to go against it or go deal with it either. So that's how we're going nuts. Is we're turning all our lack of a better term, our shit that we've gone through and making it
Right.
into that fired up
Look,
fuels into the sky. So,
Making
yes.
lemons into lemonade.
Exactly. So
Yes.
yes. I love that
Beyonce
right
said
here.
it best.
Oh, yes, there you go. The queen bee right there.
Yes.
The queen bee. Yes.
Do we have any other questions or comments?
Let's take a look. Let's see.
Yeah. Before we, I think we're already past 8:00. So,
Yeah.
Are we past 8? What's
Yeah,
that?
we're
We
past
got
8.
Rachel Fitzgerald is here. She's
Fitzgerald,
in the
Rachel.
house.
Rachel.
Hello.
Rachel is here.
Yes.
We've also got Leah D says she loves you guys.
We love you too.
Yes, we love everyone that tunes in to our live stream or that doesn't tune into our live stream. To be honest, our love isn't contingent upon participation or. No, I'm serious. I feel like that needs to be said sometimes because it's not like we're not here like, oh, you got to follow us
Yeah.
or like, you know what I mean? Whatever it is. Like, we're just here and we're obviously taking our time and our resources and everything. We're just putting this out because we know there's good people out there that need
Seriously.
to hear stuff like this. So
Absolutely.
that's why we're here. That is exactly why we're
Sharing
here.
love.
We're sharing it all. It's all to be shared.
That's what we're doing here. We're going nuts here on the Go Nuts podcast. So.
Yes.
Yes.
What do we have?
Absolutely.
What else do we have in the pipeline, you guys, as far as future podcasts that we can kind of plug right now? I know we have some good ones lined up. What do we got? Well, I know right now.
There was a fashion one that we were going to do. That one is still sort of pending at this moment.
Yeah.
But I can see us doing maybe some business stuff. Going forward, I have some friends who are business women
Yeah, nice. Yeah.
who
Yeah.
can talk about just sort of getting back in the game as far as, career wise, making the most of your time indoors, and just overall, just some business tips.
Career building and all that.
Yeah, career
Okay,
building
nice, yeah.
tips for COVID-19 and
Yeah.
beyond.
Mhm. There you go. So,
Yeah.
With that, I
That'll
think we
be
did someone
exciting.
like some drinks one, like someone who makes drinks, right? You remember you talked to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
friend.
bartender.
Yeah, we've actually got we've got a couple things lined up. Austin is a very very well connected guy. We're certainly glad we have him on board
Yes.
here
Yeah,
at Saving Up.
He's Reed Racing.
Reed Racing. If anybody wants to go check him out, he's
Cool.
a race car driver. But yes, we linked up with his friend Emma over a phone call the other night, and we set up. I think we're gonna tie Keith in.
Yeah.
That's Queen City Keith. We're gonna tie him.
Queen City right there.
Yeah, it is
You
the
know,
Prince of
yeah,
Queen
yeah.
City.
I've
He's
heard
going to
of
jump in here, and what she does is basically it's called Ship Me Style. She's on Instagram at that same handle, and she basically you kind of send her some pictures. I guess I've never done it. I'm excited to meet her and kind of see the process. But you basically is like, hey, here's my closet. Here's what I got to work with, and she's gonna be like, all right, no, yes, and then I'd recommend you buy some of this stuff here. So it's kind of, it's like she's kind of curating pieces specific for individuals, and we're gonna have her raid Keith's closet, and then maybe she can take turns kind of raiding, like some other people. Yeah.
Home makeover vibes.
Yes.
Spring makeover vibes.
Yes. So
Yes.
so that's
Yes.
If you'd like to join us, get
Sure.
your options too. So
Always looking for some of those, but it's not my area.
Oh, please, listen.
Oh,
You look good.
they call
Thank
it called
you.
athleisure. No, that's kidding.
That is
Yeah.
that is where I live. Athleisure.
That is it.
Well, you look wonderful. You have athleisure. You
Hold
look-
it together for you guys.
Thank you.
Well,
Thank
we
you. Yes.
appreciate that.
Yes. I think like this is amazing here, honestly.
Yeah,
So,
this was a good episode. I'm really
Yes.
feeling it.
I feel
feeling
blessed.
it.
I feel blessed. I feel blessed.
Yes.
Blessed. Oh, yes. I think that's basically everything, dude. Is there
Yeah.
anything else that we want to cover?
Not particularly. I
Okay.
think we covered a lot. I think we
Yes.
really
Mhm.
channeled what the message we're trying to get out there to people.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
think we really tapped into it.
so there you go. And then
Yeah.
we're gonna keep saving all those nuts. But before we leave though, so as you're a food disorder therapist, I know you're trying to make some new steps in your career now too, Rachel. Like what's next for you? Even in this times of quarantine.
Thank you for
Yes,
asking.
yes.
Well, I've just been toying with the idea of creating a virtual private practice
okay.
once I
Yeah.
finish up my licensure in
Okay.
January.
Yeah.
So
When you drop the A.
when I drop that A,
Yeah.
yes.
That's really innovative.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm hopeful. We'll see.
Yeah.
Still baby steps right now.
Yeah.
Taking our time with it, but
Well, you know what?
something.
We've got 2 clients right here.
Yes,
Oh,
Already.
Yeah,
super
yeah.
unethical. Can't do it, but thanks for the sentiment.
Well, I tried.
Come on.
Super appreciate
That's
it.
why we got you in the first place. We need some help. Maybe
I
you
can
get a third
refer
one.
you to some very
Oh, okay,
qualified
so you-
therapists.
So we have to be referred. Is that what you're saying?
no, you don't have to be referred.
Yeah.
You just wouldn't be able to see me.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay.
Yes. So I can give you some.
Oh, is it because we know each other like this, like
Yes,
mutually? Oh, okay.
because no
I get it.
dual relationships
Oh,
in therapy.
okay. I get it.
friends.
I get
Rule
it now. I
number
get it.
one.
I get it.
Got it.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So, well, wait, I'll see you later. Maybe in 10 years. Then does that work then? So,
Unfortunately, social work doesn't have a statute of limitations, so
Oh, okay,
it's a
okay.
forever
It's-
kind of thing, man.
Yeah.
oh, it's forever. Okay. Well, either way, but I hope you do refer us to someone really great too.
I
So
will do
maybe even if Greg would like to get some too. So
Yeah, I
so-
got
Look, Greg needs somebody who is willing to deal with the strong analytic tendencies. So if there's like a flavor of a therapist for people who have traditionally been very, I don't mean like repulsive in like a disgust. I mean like in a magnetic repulsive kind of way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like just like at the core, it's like, and it's not an unwillingness to open. It's like, like what we were talking about before, like these kind of passed down things, like your dad would be like, all right, just suck it up, or you know what I mean? Like whatever. It's my dad's birthday today. I shout out my dad. He didn't tell me to just suck it up or whatever, but like the talks of, like the mental health, it was always like, oh, that's a problem versus something that everybody else should be kind of doing.
Yeah.
Right. It's definitely, it's always one of those like last resort kind of, activities versus like maybe a first thought, maybe you should go try to, figure that kind of stuff out, and certainly not offering up advice to other people before you have it all figured out. That's my piece. That's it. Guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for us. We are coming up on an hour here on YouTube, so I don't know if it's like Instagram and it's going to cut us off. Instagram Live's probably already cut out. But I want to say that we did get up to YouTube. So we are excited to see how our first kind of rendition of the whole live shebang over
Yeah,
here.
Dave, shout out
I've been
to
having
you.
a great time cutting around on all these buttons
No,
right
no,
here. I'm
no,
over
no,
here.
no,
looking like a DJ.
right now.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun.
Before we close out, what does anyone else have any good like words to say for from everything that we talked about today? I know live your truth. That's a good one.
Self-care is not selfish.
Yes, self-care is
Feel what you feel.
feel what you feel.
Yes,
It's
feel
okay to
those
not
feelings.
be okay. Yeah, and then just
Everything doesn't have to add up. It only adds up. I heard somebody say it only adds up if you sit there and actually add it all up. Otherwise, it just kind of.
Yeah.
sometimes it's okay to just like kind of just let it go, but then like all of a sudden just figure out, all right, try to just find a solution for everything. So yeah, and that's how we go nuts here.
But this will wrap it up.
Yes, thank you, Anders.
Yes.
Thank you, Rachel.
Bye,
Thank
guys.
you, everybody,
so much
for listening.
having
Thank
me.
you,
Yes,
Rachel.
of course, and thank you, Greg.
Thank you guys.
See you guys.
Yes.
Absolute pleasure.
Go nuts on the Go Nuts podcast.
We'll
Yes.
see you guys next time.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
That was beautiful.
Oh.
That was beautiful.
That
I got
was
chills.
awesome.
I think that my face sweat is gonna definitely be visible.
No, trust me, trust me.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
GoPro Hero 3s are the shittiest
Oh,
1080
good.
you've ever
I'm
seen.
glad
You
you
ain't gonna
know.
see nothing like that. It's gonna look great.
You're gonna be glistening. What are you talking about?
A
All right.
lovely little glow.
So we'll download.
Yes. Thank
Video-
you. For
or
running
I'm
the
gonna
live.
let-
Is this still live?
No, I don't think so.
How many views did we get? It seemed like there was a lot of people watching.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I was trying to hold on to everything here. I want to end your stream.
It's okay.
Yes.
I'm sure we got some good things.